Hello, I am here with Yaz. It's super, super nice to meet
What's up, people?
you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for hopping on with me. I'm also always super, super thankful when someone's willing to chat with me. So, Yaz has informed me that he sings and raps professionally, and I was super interested in that. Can you tell me how did you get started with that whole deal?
So I've been, into music for a very long time, sorry, from the age of 16. But at the time when I was introduced to music, it was more of like a 140 BPM tempo, which is quite fast. And in the UK, we have something called the grime genre, where it's basically urban and it's from the streets, but it's quite fast. And growing up, I always wanted to, try different things, whether if it was music or, in like education wise. So I gave grime a go and I really didn't like it. I found the tempo was way too fast. So I started, teaching myself how to use the music software, which was Logic. Um, and then I've just started making beats, pressing buttons and doing, random stuff. And I just realized, I could actually give this thing like a go. So from grime, and then I met, R&B, hip hop, dance, EDM, UK funky house. So it's, it's been a journey where I've just been excel with different genres. But in 2010, I was actually blessed to join a music group, well, form a music group called Urban Flex. At the time, we were actually doing private bookings, and these private bookings were for like the Norwegian embassy, for like private Norwegian independent days. So we were actually getting established. We'd done a few red carpet shows in the UK, but because of management issues, we had to, scrap the band. And from 2014, I've been a solo artist.
If I may ask, why did the band get scrapped?
Um, Within the music industry, some people, just fade away from their actual aims and goals, and they forget about why they started to do music or why they started to be on a journey with different people. So one, it was for management issues. Um, the other main reason was because people were greedy and they weren't humble enough. And it felt like, we were stepping on each other's toes. People wanted to move on. We had an opportunity around in 2012 where we were actually planning to travel to the United States to meet someone who represented Def Jam at the time. But because we had different commitments, it just felt like we were just carrying just dead weight. And we just said, you know what, we'll just scrap it here. But we were actually doing major private bookings. Um, so yeah, we've decided to come put the band to an end. And I mean, I'm the only one that's actually stuck by music and become a solo artist.
So have you enjoyed like working on your own more, or did you enjoy working with them more, or being on your own, or have you noticed a preference because you've now been able to experience both ends of that?
Um, Being in a music group slash band, it, you kind of rely, you don't really rely, but if you mess up on stage, you got your bandmates there for you to help you out. But as a solo artist, you have so much pressure on you, whether if it's to put the set list together, rehearsals, you have your own budget. Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons for each thing, but as the years go by, you start to learn and it becomes normal to, take on responsibilities as a solo artist. Yes, I mean, it's much better having bandmates because, three brains is better than one. But
Yeah.
when you're a solo artist and you're actually taking on that big, massive stage, it just feels like you own it. And there's no better feeling than that. But also there's always that other factor where if I mess up, I mess up on my own. Where if I were to forget a lyric or mess up, in a band, I know that there'll be bandmates there who would be able to help me out. Um, but I quite enjoy being independent now and being solo because I have full control of all my creativity. I could, pick and choose what kind of vibe to put out. Um, but the best thing about being a solo artist is when you're on stage and you're performing and you kind of, bring out the vision that you had for the song in the studio live. That's the best feeling.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious who inspired you or what inspired you? Did any particular artist inspire you when you were young?
You know what? I'm not gonna say anyone inspired me in particular. I would say myself,
Okay.
the upbringing that I had, the neighborhood that I grew up in. People were always destined to become something, or someone. And I would say life. My biggest inspiration is life. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's Dr. Dre, Eminem, or if it's like Prince, Michael Jackson. Um, my life and my upbringing inspired me to be the artist I am today.
And there's nothing wrong with that either, honestly. I'm always curious, like, who did you watch that made you want to do this, or what made you want to do this? Where did this come from? It's super interesting to me in that regard. So my next question is, what sets have you been playing recently? Like, are there any interesting stories from things that you've done?
Actually, no, I haven't. I haven't been performing live for the last 3 years. Um, but I've been working on a lot of collaborations. Um, as we all know, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and the UK has just, hit their third lockdown, national lockdown. But around May to June, I was actually involved in a domestic violence project. Um, we have a UK domestic violence project called Domestic Violence UK, and I was given the opportunity to work with some of the professional people in the music industry in the UK to rap a verse about children who has experienced domestic violence, and that was probably one of the biggest projects I did in my life. Um, so I received a phone call and I was told there's a verse there if I wanted it. At first, I was really reluctant to take it, but then I thought if I don't give it a go and if I don't give myself the opportunity to work with these professionals, I'm never going to have the chance to do it at all. So we basically raised the money for a domestic violence charity, UK, um, which was actually well because it was middle of the pandemic, and we wasn't actually in the studio together, so everyone just had to play their own bit and record it from home or wherever possible. And some of the stories and some of the emotions that you actually feel and get from the song is really upsetting. When I actually wrote my rap verse, it was actually for the children's point of view. So I actually sat down and I was going through, statements that children has actually made. And I wanted to make it a realistic story. I didn't want to just write it off my own back as a writer. So I really took time to understand what these children have been through and what these bad situations put them through. And yeah, I don't know if the UK, I mean, I don't know if the United States know, but we actually have a program called Strictly Come Dancing. It's basically celebrities. What they do is it's like a dance show. They get taught by professional dancers, and a lady called Hailey Sanderson, she gave me the opportunity to rap on a song. We remixed Britney Spears' Stronger, and we made it into like more modern, and it's out on Spotify and everywhere else. That was one of the biggest projects I've ever done. So during the pandemic, I've actually opened myself to work with different artists all over the world. Where lockdown happened, I didn't really want to, risk going out and stuff. So I just stayed at home and I just worked on collaborations. And yeah, up until the end of this year, I still want to work on collaborations because the UK is on another national lockdown. So I want to get as much collaborations done as possible, and then will have a better portfolio to showcase.
I super respect that you were, doing that. Trying to think of that in my brain today. That almost charitable thing set up with all the celebrities. Like that's super interesting to me. I don't know like what the music scene's like over there in the UK versus the US, or if it's different or if it's the same. I've always wanted to travel over in that area. I hope to someday.
But the music scene in the UK, it's at the moment, drill is very big in the UK. Actually, it's so big that the police and the government are actually trying to put a stop to it
Really?
because it's so massive. Yeah. But a lot of musicians. I'm not trying to dig anyone out, but I'm just saying from my experience, a lot of musicians, they just follow fashion. They
Yeah.
don't really follow their heart. They just follow what other people are doing. So if there's drill playing on a radio, and I become a musician, we'll go into the studio and make a drill song, just for the fact that drill is the main genre at the moment. So it's a bit of it's like fashion. Someone starts it off and everyone follows.
Yep.
But it's like that with everything.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've noticed that since I was a child. Like when something's a big thing, everybody's trying to get in on it. What kind of music is that exactly?
Yeah, and
I haven't heard that before.
so yeah, so drill music is basically it's not really gang related, but it's more from the street.
Okay.
For example, how back in the days there was 50 Cent and he was talking about getting shot, selling drugs,
Right.
seeing his mom kiss another woman kind of thing. It's more like that. But with the UK drill, they kind of expose themselves to the illegal stuff they do, which is, it's real life, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's more of like explicit version of like trap and rap.
Okay. I'm kind of thinking, when I hear that some of those people they're getting into that might be throwing in some fake stories into their music. Like they probably haven't, maybe went through that like others actually have, just to maybe get on the fad. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I mean, majority of the stuff that's being produced in the UK, like I said, is true. But about I would say about 75% is actually real life stuff.
Okay.
People, and I'm not trying to promote gang violence or anything, but
Right.
I'm just saying if that's the only thing right, and there's an opportunity to talk about it, then yeah, go for it. But it's more like the stuff that they say on the track, it's very, very explicit, and there's no wrong way of saying this or right way. But if like I said, if you're going through hard times, and if trapping is the only thing that you've known for whatever reason, and you feel the need of saying it, then drill would be the best genre for you to come on and express your feelings and what you're going through. But sadly, the police and the government are trying to put a stop to it because apparently it, inflicts a lot of violence.
I I don't even know if they could do that over in the United States, because it kind of feels like, I don't know if you've been watching news or if it matters. Like it feels to me over here like I don't think that kinds of music would influence what's going on over in my country right now, or could change it or not change it. So that's kind of interesting that over there they're
I
just.
know someone, yeah. I know someone, he was banned from making music for 10 years. He had to change his name. When the papers were talking about him, they were giving him a fake name because a lot of his music was real life stories,
Oh.
i.e., gang banging and stuff like that. They actually changed his name and banned these musician name. So he weren't allowed to upload any form of music because apparently it was, enticing young people and young kids to do crime and stuff, which I don't believe, because you know, if I put a song out there about me being upset, me wanting to hurt someone, why should then that encourage you to go and do the same thing? You know, that's my point of view. That's what I'm going through. That's my emotions. If my song puts that kind of, you know, emotions into you, then it's down to you then to sit down and think, hold on, just because he's doing it, it doesn't mean I have to do it.
Right. Well, the only thing
But it just falls under the fashion category again. People just follow fashion.
right. The only thing I don't understand there is like there's been so many artists like in the past who have already sang about this kind of things. I'm gonna leave their names out. There's one particular group that I can immediately think about that's almost all they sing about, and they you know they had songs about like killing babies and all this stuff, and they're like they have a following. I don't understand how you can ban new people for trying to do the things that you have allowed others to do in the past. That confuses.
You know what? It confuses me as well, because um I don't really, if if someone knows, you know, this person's being explicit in their songs and talking about stuff that they've been through, then it's fine, because it's real life. But then if someone, like if a newbie comes onto the scene, no one knows about them, and they talk about, you know, killing babies or robbing people, gangbanging and stuff, then then people will just buy it because of fashion. Like if a lot of people knew my upbringing and what I've done, of what I've been through, right? They'll be like, yeah, Yaz is true. That this is Yaz's story. But for someone that's recently started listening to my music, that it could go both ways. They could think I'm following fashion myself, or the fact that what I'm actually saying is true. But yet again, it's what sells at the moment, and drill in the UK sells more.
I could almost guarantee that most of the people, like a lot of the people who are listening to that kind of stuff, like they're just, you know, if you could put a picture in your head, they're just driving to their office job or what have you, and they're driving into their regular job listening to, you know, gang music and like shooting and all this kind of stuff, which is kind of funny. Like there's just a regular person driving in their car, kind of driving to their regular job, and they're just listening to that as they're going to work. Like, you know, it doesn't mean that when someone's listening to that, they're gonna go rob a bank and shoot a place up. It's almost the same argument for I've heard like violent video games. Like if this is my opinion, I suppose. Same thing. If someone were to listen to this kind of music or like play a violent video game, violent music, whatever, and they go and do something bad, that person probably have issues in the first place. It had nothing to do with that music.
Exactly, yeah, and I agree with you. But also, just to put it out there, we now live in a generation where we numbers talk. So if my song, let's just say, if I get 50,000 streams, right, for an R&B song, right, and I don't know, a drill song gets 100,000 streams, they are obviously gonna play the drill song more than me. Why? Because there's numbers. It's a numbers game, and people are so sick and tired of trying being, you know, unique and being creative. They just give up and follow fashion. And I'm sorry, but all over the internet, numbers speak. I mean, when was the last time you've seen someone with 10K followers follow you or like your picture? It's
Right.
always people with low amount of followers following people who are
Right.
verified or who have some form of status in the showbiz industry or in any industry. So whatever sells, people are going to go for that. And that's what the internet game has come to. It's
Right.
all about numbers.
Oh, absolutely. No, it does. The internet's been used for good things, but it's also not, kind of what you're talking about. It's been used for not good things too. And there's so many young people that it's insane to me. They've been born out of a generation that didn't know what it was like before the internet, before, you know, if you were doing something crazy, somebody could pull their phone out and videotape you. And it's crazy to me. I'm 26. I was born, I think I was one of the last generations that remembers before we had good internet. And it hasn't really been that long in reality. Like, if you think about it.
Yeah, I'm 26 myself,
Okay.
actually.
You know what I'm talking about.
And yeah. Yeah, I mean, growing up, I mean, the way I was brought up, it was different. When I say different, I tried to be different. I wanted to fit in, but I didn't want to fit in how everyone else fitted in.
Right.
But also, I've never followed fashion. I've, tried to set my own fashion. I've, hated the fact of, being told, oh, you should follow this person or you should do what they're doing. You should follow them. Da, 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 da. I've always tried to set trends for myself, not
Right.
for anyone else's sake. But I agree that if there's an incident on the streets, people will just get their phones out just because of the numbers game. Where if this goes worldwide, then they'll get more followings and stuff. It's just a numbers game. I mean, who are we fooling? In this generation, numbers speak. And in whatever you do, whether if you just take your phone out and say hello, or if you just take your phone out and record, a fight or an incident. Like for example, like that guy who recorded George Floyd. Let's just say the guy that recorded George Floyd's death, right?
Right.
That guy now, look at him. He was all over the internet. His video was circulating, and stuff like that. This is what people are into. People are into violence. People are into seeing negativity and a bit of positivity. But at the end of the day, it just falls back into the numbers category.
No, I completely agree.
People can't be unique. They just want to follow each other.
No.
Just because Amy from down the road has taken their phone out and recorded something, they're gonna follow that trend.
No, exactly. I actually I work with kids, and I like to socially watch people, and like the ones I want to watch the most are the youngins, like the ones that are under like 12, and how do they act right now. And I overheard a younger girl the other day. She was talking about, leaving names out, she was talking about, I'm gonna go buy the celebrity's makeup because everyone else, kind of what you're saying, everyone else is doing it right now. And I like this same person, I like this celebrity because blah blah blah. And I heard who the celebrity was, and my gut kind of clenched because I don't think I wish that wasn't the person that they were, I guess, idolizing. Like it was one of the last people that I wish that they had as an idol, because there's no genuine things they're pulling from this person. And it made me really sad. Like, it genuinely just made me sad to listen to this very young child talk the way that they were talking about it.
That's the thing, because that particular celebrity is well known, i.e. verified, famous celebrity. Whatever they do, people are gonna buy it anyway. Like, they could just bring out a song called Hello, and they'll make millions because they have a high status, people automatically follow them. And I understand and agree with what you're saying. Like, if a 12-year-old is doing those kind of things, you will need to understand why they're doing it. And yet again, that's because of the status that the celebrity holds. When you're a celebrity and when you're big in the game, people don't understand that there's going to be millions of people looking up to you. And whatever you do, whether if it's negative or positive, people are going to watch this. People are going to say, she's doing something positive. I'm going to follow her. I'm going to buy her brand. I'm going to buy his brand. People, those who are into negativity, this person's being negative. I'm still going to buy his brand. Why? Because he's a celebrity. Oh, look, I got this celebrity brand, kind of thing. At the end of the day, it's how we, get the younger generation to understand it's not always about following. It's about, taking two things, putting it into one and making it your own, and understanding, that some things that we see on the internet are only one-sided stories and they're not, both sides.
Well, yeah, you don't. The biggest example I'd like to give is someone will be like, "Oh, this person did this famous person did that," and I try to look at, we're all literally just humans. Like, well, how do you know? Were you there? Did you see that? How do you know that this and this happened?
Mhm.
Do you know that person? No, you don't know that person. There's no way you can know who that person really is at all. Like, and you never will. You can't um, just imagine like, oh, this happened because I saw it and someone on social media said it happened. Someone said that this happened. Like, no, you don't. You literally have no idea, and you can't just say, well, someone showed me this, so I know now. No, you don't. You can't. Like, it's very impossible to know it unless you were actually there in that situation or know that person, which you don't.
Exactly, and they say social media is is a good thing. I actually don't agree. I don't think is 100% positive. On social media, everyone has access to it, whether if it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, you name it, right? And we are only fooling ourselves if we sit here and say, yeah, social media is like a positive platform, because it's not. How many times do you scroll on your timeline and you see, people posting, violent stuff or negativity stuff, and there's million and one people commenting, laughing faces and doing like hate comments and stuff. Um, it's a scary world, and if people are getting sucked into things like this, then God bless them and help them and support them.
Absolutely.
Because if they believe everything they see on social media, then God knows.
Well, and music used to be one of the only ways that we got we could express ourselves, or we could listen to things happening around the world. Like, when we didn't have social media, internet, music was always a way that artists could express feelings on social events. You get to hear about these things that are happening, and I really hope that that never goes away. I don't want that to ever go away, because if we only have so many mediums, and God forbid social media or what have you is the only thing, music starts to drift the other way, which I don't think it'll ever happen. I really am afraid of the kind of world we live in where that does happen. That scares me. That's something that really, really, really scares me. Or if they stop not allowing people, kind of like what you're talking about, to not just release the kind of music that they want to, and it's the person's choice if they're going to listen to that or not. That really is their choice. That also scares me, because that's literally only going to leave room for what art, like these small artists, to get in through the cracks, and nobody will be able to fulfill their dream, and that's also scary.
If an artist is not able to express themselves or their emotions or their experience, then they shouldn't make music. Not because they shouldn't, but just because they don't have the 100% creativity over their work. And this is one of the main things why I've stuck to being independent. I would have loved to sign a record deal. I would have loved to go ahead and sign that deal and come over to the States. I reckon my life would have been different.
Oh, we froze.
That I've been through, I'll experience 10 times worse. Um, if someone said to me, "Oh, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this," then what's the point of me doing music? What's the point of me, trying to tell my story? It's a very very down putting situation to be in. And I know a lot of artists are experiencing that. Oh, you should not do this because that wouldn't sell. You should not do that because it don't suit you. You know how many people give up on their dreams because there's always someone in the background trying to control them in what direction to go with their creativity. It's a scary world
Well, and
and a
it's,
scary thing to be in.
yeah, and especially this day and age, like, I feel that you're always going to make one person or the other angry no matter what you do. Like, literally, no matter what you do, there's such a like, oh, you're wearing this or you're saying that, like you're making me mad, but I'm making this other person happy, or you're doing this or that. I'm making both of these people mad. No, like you're always going to make somebody upset. Like I always respect the people that just don't care. Like don't hurt people.
That yeah. The main thing is to keep yourself happy and to do what you want to do. And you would know what's right and what's wrong for you, like naturally. And if there's so many people telling you not to do this or to do that, if you're being controlled, then you shouldn't, either one, work with them, or you shouldn't, do what you're doing.
No, I completely agree. So what are your hopes for the future with your music?
So at the moment, I have 4 collaborations that I'm working on. Um, and it's basically just knocking them out, releasing them, and then work on my solo projects.
Mhm.
Um, 2020, I was just focused on collaborations, and because of the pandemic, we actually had to delay a big chunk of the project. So the aim is to, for the first 3 months, release out the collaborations, and then slowly release out singles and solo music that I've been doing on my own.
I'm really happy for for anybody who has something that they can work on, such as that in these hard times. Like even what I'm doing, with talking to people, what you're doing with your music, like it's so healthy that we have something that we can do during this craziness, no matter how long it may last.
Yeah. I mean, it's a crazy thing to experience, and I'm talking about this pandemic because it come all of a sudden, and it's not gonna go. It's not an overnight thing, but it will just fix. It's gonna take a lot of time, and within these hard times, if you do not stick to your creativity, then there's a big issue of you suffering from mental health. Whether if it's depression, anxiety, um, and I think during these times, people should just connect, like how me and you are doing. I'm from the UK, you're from the US, but we still manage to connect and talk to each other and share, what we do, our stories. And I think if there's one positive thing to get out of this whole pandemic, it's the thing of people connecting from overseas and, actually realizing that there's someone else on the other side of the world that's doing the same thing as you.
Yeah, that's super lovely to me in a sense. I Every single person that I've talked to, yourself included, I like hearing the stories. I like hearing advice, like even, funny stories, scary stories, sad stories, life experience. If if nothing even comes from this, at least I was enriched by something, and maybe somebody else can watch one of these and become enriched, like, oh, that's crazy, or oh, I've gone through that, or maybe this will make me think about doing something before I do it, or anything, related to that.
Yeah, that's alongside music, my actual job was working with with kids who suffered domestic violence, abuse, who went into prison. So I've always been involved with working with young people and kids, and trying to help them better themselves, kind of thing. Um, and my aim is to basically to be the best role model as possible. I'm not saying people should follow me or do what I've done or to do what I do, but to see me as like a role model and to understand that, if I can change my ways and if I could be the person I am today, from my past, then there's something to take out of it. I'm not saying people should follow me because I'm not saying I'm an angel, but I'm just saying for those who, understand and could relate to me, then that's a good thing. I've never liked people following me. When I say following, I mean like following my actions or what I do. Um, I've always, like I said, I always wanted to set trends myself. Um, So yeah, if there's one thing that, you know, the younger generation could take, I would say be yourself, don't be a follower, always set trends, and also don't worry about what people say, because once you start thinking what other people think, then there's no point of you doing what you want to do in life.
Yep. And my advice, you know, I actually am putting together a video of, I tried to get as many people as would be willing to give their 18-year-olds advice if they could literally go back in time, sit in a room and talk to their 18-year-old selves. And some of the responses that I got were pretty great. But my advice, I would say, is you're always going to make somebody mad. Like, no matter what you do, somebody's going to be mad about it. You might as well just enjoy it. Like, doesn't matter. I did want to.
You know what?
I did want to. I would like to play one of your songs if that's okay, and I'm gonna see if you can continue to kind of talk as it's playing. Like, I don't know how to work, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
So which one are you gonna play? I could give it because there's two. There was one that I produced myself,
Yeah,
which is Roll With Me, and there's another one called That's Right.
yeah, I was gonna do that one first.
That's Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically That's Right. The reason I actually, well, the producer that I worked with, Ramon's Beats, he's based in the UK as well, and we actually met online on a website called Drupal. But long story short, the reason I named it That's Right, because in the song I say that's right quite quite a lot. So instead of trying to find a fancy name for it and anything else, I just named it That's Right. So the beat was actually made prior to me joining with Ramon's Beats. And I just heard the beat, and then we just quickly done something that suits my vibe, and we made That's Right.
That's awesome. Okay.
It's like a song you would listen to on a Friday night before you go out clubbing. It's like a song that you listen to when you're having free drinks.
I feel like I would make like kind of a little funny gag about that. Like, I'd put on like, what are you playing? Just say, that's right. And they think that you're saying something else. You're just going to feel like, that's right. That's right.
You know, so I have a 5-year-old son, and he goes around, that's the only thing he says, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I like that. Okay, I'm gonna go and play it.
When you listen to the song, you understand why it's called That's Right.
Okay.
It's YZ. That's right. I don't think I'm ready for this one. That's right. What we did it, Ramon?
Let's kind of have like an 80s or 90s vibe.
Step in the rave, let me get champagne. Walking for the crowd, they already know my name. Girls on my lap, that are looking for a ride. But I keep telling them it's no more for my life. Skip to the left, then you skip to the right. Back to the middle, then you skanking your vibe. Put your drink up, cause we're drinking tonight. Cause it's why I ain't said, this is how I live my life. Say what? Here I go, you ever shot it. VIP team, people know that I own it. Girls wanna wine. I just bend them off, but then I grind. Everywhere I go, you ever shot it. VIP team, people know that I own it. Girls wanna wine. I just bend them off, but then I grind. Tonight, I just wanna have fun. Drinking so much, no my lungs go numb. Tequila, vodka, rum shot coming in a thunder. Feeling kinda dizzy cause I'm drinking. Got a waitress bringing all the drinks in. Got a waitress bringing all the drinks in. What? Everywhere I go, yeah, I shot it. VIP thing, people know that I own it. Girls wanna wine. I just made them all fun, then I grind. Everywhere I go, yeah, I shot it. VIP thing, people know that I own it. Girls wanna wine. I just made them all fun, then I grind. Yes.
I just want to say something, right? So the lyrics in that song is actually related um to a dance called whining, and it's actually from the Caribbean culture where it's actually bad because now that I've heard it from your end, like it actually sounds really, really, really rude. And I
Oh,
just want to clear the air to say that because because you know when you listen to yourself rapping, you don't really take notice of how it sounds. You know what you're saying, but when you don't hear it for a very long time, and so when else plays it, I tend to listen to the lyrics. So I say, um, I basically reference to like a Jamaican dance or like a Caribbean dance, which is they kind of it's basically like bump and grind. It's like grinding on a female, but it's a dance. So I don't want anyone to feel like I'm trying to say anything bad about women or anything like that. It's just the way that people in that kind of culture dance.
okay.
Because I say I just bend them over and I grind, 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 and it sounds bad. I know it sounds bad, but that's not that way my intention. I was just basically trying to say, when you're in a club, you want to have fun, um, and growing up, majority of the clubs that I went to were actually, like bashment, dance hall. So yeah, that's why I just wanted to clear the air. I don't
Oh,
want people to, get into the comments and be like, oh, he's sexist and no,
no,
it's
I
not about that.
I've heard I guess like I've heard way worse, and I've heard too often. I heard that, but I didn't really think of anything of it. I don't. I'm a lady, and I guess I'm not personally offended. Not saying others wouldn't be, but
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's the song's basically about drinking, having a nice time. It's basically about me, going into a club, getting all the attention, popping bottles, champagne, don't not caring about anything else other than just having fun. Um, yeah.
but okay, but like it's not offensive because like I've bent people over and grinded them on the clubs, so I don't, I can
But
do that too. So
I just felt the need that to clear
I
the air
understand.
because yeah, I mean it's one of those things where my music is explicit,
Right.
but it's not cursing or saying certain. It's the content that I use my lyrics,
Okay.
um, and it's that part of the song was just a reference to the early clubbings that I went to was like grinding and like whining kind of thing.
Well, honestly, like when I was listening to that, it kind of just made me kind of miss dancing myself. I miss dancing so much, like going out and doing that kind of stuff. That's one thing that I'm, maybe when this all gets over, I'm gonna
Oh,
be
me
looking
too,
for.
me too. I, I haven't been to a club for the last 5 years, and even if I
Oh,
do go, I'll probably just yeah. I mean, it's I don't really I wasn't a clubbing person anyway, and I don't think I will ever miss it. But the last time I went was 5 years ago, and I didn't even dance myself. I was just in my corner, just vibing on my own. Yeah,
I do miss that kind of stuff though, for sure. So I was gonna go ahead and play your other one that you let me give a listen to, if that's
hmm
okay with you. Uh,
yep.
what was that one again?
Roll with me.
Oh, here it
It's
is. Yes.
myself featuring Leroy. Yeah.
Yes.
You just come on me, don't be so shy. Come talk to me, I think you're great. Yeah, I'm falling for your love and affection is all I need. And I know you're kinda shy, but I can make you feel at ease. But can't you see? I'm falling for your heart. Let me love you with a passion, yo. You know I never cheat. So let me be your king. Take me by my hand, and if you wanna be with me, let's show the world that we could be the dream team. Yeah. You just come on with me, baby. Don't be so shy. Come talk to me. You're great, sexy. You know with me, you should come on with me. Come on with me. Girl, let me be your next, cause I'm better than your ex. Yeah, he broke you up, he tore you up, so let me clean his mess with kisses on your cheek, yeah, roses on your bed, cause you deserve to be treated with a lot of respect. When you look into my eyes, girl, you really blow my mind. Yeah. If loving you's a crime, I'ma ride the real time. Right, let your light shine, let your light shine. I'ma be right by your side, cause you're one of a kind. Yeah, look into my eyes and tell me what you really need. If it's love and affection, no pressure, you could be my queen. Yeah, life is like a blessing when you're living up your dream. Girl, you're one of a kind, and I can make you complete. So roll with me, yeah, roll with me, yeah, roll with me. Come and roll with me, yeah, roll with me, roll with me, roll with me, come roll with me. Yeah, you just come on with me, baby. Don't be so shy. Come talk to me. I think you're great, sexy. You know with me, you should come on with me. Come on with me. Yeah.
Cool.
Completely different vibe.
Yeah, completely. I have a question. I'm trying not to go into it too much to not be explicit myself. Are you trying to say this? Are you referencing to something with that title or the song, or is it literally really just mean like hanging out?
So are you basically are you thinking about smoking or so the actual song is not. I mean, this song is Roll With Me wasn't meant to be explicit. It's
Okay.
basically, it's like, so the storyline is basically a boy being attracted to a girl,
Okay.
but the girl's kind of heartbroken, and she don't really want to fall into love too quick. And it's about the boy, saying, sometimes you just have to jump into a relationship real quick. It's just basically about relationship. It's like, you should come and roll with me. Like, I'm the one for you. Like, I'm better than your ex,
Okay.
kind of thing. Let me be your next, and I promise you things will be different. Um, and yeah, roll with me is basically like when you're trying to talk to like a female, you kind of say things, to like get her attention without saying, yeah, I'll buy you this, I'll buy you that.
Right.
It's more like, yeah, like I want to show you love and affection. Not, it's not always sexual, but it's about, showing my love to you.
Right.
Yeah, it's basically about expressing your feelings to someone you like,
Yeah.
or you want to be with.
That's awesome.
And if you my verses and reflect on that, because on my second verse I say, you had bad experience with your ex, like he broke you up, he messed you up, let me clean this mess, kind of thing. Like, let me pick up from where he messed up.
Yeah. I think most people have kind of experienced that kind of thing because some people don't know how to connect with someone the right way or pick someone up the right way. So I completely understand that. Your accent sounds like, I don't know if this sounds, it sounds really nice in that song. Like it makes the song sound like when you're rapping or singing, it makes it sound really nice. Like I'm over here and like, I guess the people like, I mean, being in the US, like nobody really has like accents here for the most part. And when I hear somebody from a different country, like it always sounds really pretty to me, I guess, because I feel like the way that we speak is boring.
Thank you very much. I'll take that as a compliment.
Okay.
But what I've realized is a lot of my network in the US, a lot of them are females, and they say the same thing.
Okay.
We like we like different accents and X, Y, and Z. Um, so yeah, I think it's because they're not used to it, because they're always listening to people of their own.
Hmm.
And once once they listen to someone else, they find like a new vibe, or
Yeah.
they get a different feeling with them.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's just for the fact that you something new.
Yeah. Definitely.
You could tell the differences between Roll With Me and That's Right. Um, it's quite different, my tone and the way that I deliver my verses.
Yeah. Well, and the first one was more of a dancey vibe, and the other one like wasn't quite as much of a dancey vibe, but they were all both good in their own regards. So thank you for like letting
Yeah,
me share your music and everything. Like I appreciate it. I haven't gotten to put someone's music on one of my videos yet, so it's something new to me, and I love
my
it.
pleasure.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you some final things, like if there was anything you didn't get to touch on, or advice, or anything like that you feel that you didn't get to talk about.
No, I mean, I like conversations like this, and I like organic conversations more than scripts. But I mean, to those who are listening and want something out of this video, my advice would be to just be yourself, be true to yourself, and don't worry about what other people are doing. Worry about what you're doing. Think about how you're going to eat, not how other people are eating.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And and the way that we're built is that we could accomplish anything we put our mind to. And we don't really need a big audience to do it. You have to start off from somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just to stick to whatever you know best, and don't follow fashion.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. Like, you've been awesome, been an awesome guest.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I hope you have a good evening, morning. It's like 3 a.m. over there, right?
Yeah, it's coming up to 3 a.m. But it's normal to me. I don't go to sleep until 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning here.
Okay.
Um, work don't stop. So I'm always working,
Okay.
juggling family life and music.
Okay. Well, I'm happy that our time
So
zone difference
yeah,
worked out. So
yeah. Because I thought, the first time that we agreed on, I thought 10 a.m. might be too early for her, kind
no.
of thing. And I was like, no, I was like, it's best if I stay up till late, because I know after this I'll probably go into the studio and just work on something.
Awesome. Well, I hope that you keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep listening to your stuff.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good evening, morning, whatever you consider that.
Well, yeah, it's still evening to me, but yeah.
Bye.
Bye.